Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's your girl, Pretty Sexy Yara, the brand, aka Stoner the Assassin. And baby, your girl is back for another review slash recap of Heart and Hustle Houston, which is on the OWN network. And baby, we are reviewing and getting into episode 5 of season 1, which is titled No New Friends. From the title, you already know it's giving juicy teas because we picking up from what happened in episode 4, and from the title may have something to do with episode 5. But before we get into the review, thank you, Assassins, for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I also want to give a big shout out to all my supporters that have been voting for me in the Face of Halloween competition. Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. But today, whenever you're seeing this review, we're finna get into Heart and Hustle Houston, episode 5, season 1, No New Friends. Boom. So yes, y'all. As we get into the opening scene, of course we are still at the ladies' night where Miss Shaniqua came with a lot of printouts showing that she knew Miss Latour, and baby, things was already getting heated at the table. And we left on a hot note at the end of episode 4, which was she called Miss Rowe a bee. And that's what we kind of picking it back up at. And baby, let's just say the ladies are going back and forth, having an exchange of words. And baby, it ain't got so heated. Miss Latoya said, baby, let me tell you something. I'm gonna get my purse and I'm gonna exit on the girls. Cause she said I don't do this. All this back and forth, you getting loud, we in public. She was like, I'm gonna leave with the class that I have. Because guess what? We ain't been called a Timu wig. We ain't been told it ain't a wig. It's so much happening. Miss Elena done got up and wrapped her arms around Ro. Thank you, somebody, because I was very concerned. I was like, girl, she doing a lot of this over in people's personal space and saying, and girl, it's okay. And Miss Chloe's like, can y'all stop? Can y'all please stop? I didn't. She was like, Miss Janiqua, I did not bring you here for this. Girl, I thought y'all gonna talk, have a conversation. Girl, this is not what I thought this was gonna be. And I'm just like, I'm just glad that nobody get popped. And y'all, our girl Miss Chloe says, she don't do all that. She's embarrassed by this whole situation. And Miss Elena has just put her head down, baby, because she just can't believe what happened. But y'all, as we go from that scene to our next scene. So yes, y'all. As we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Miss Latour, and she says, out of all, since the ladies had moved forward, now it's like they done moved back. It's been a circus. It's been just a wild thing, and so she's invited all the ladies out today because she just wants them to know, hey, what happened, and also to celebrate the ladies and having an event within the city of Houston. But before we get into all of that, the ladies come in, everybody's looking good, everybody got their styles, they fits. I'm loving. The ladies are always giving it in fashion, like for Southern style. Like, I get it, I love it. So the ladies come in, they all sit down, and our girl Miss Latoria, of course, you know, gets the conversation rolling, and she lets the ladies know that she's hosting an event. Her and a friend of hers are giving back to the city of Houston, or giving to the ladies in the city of Houston, which are making history. And she says while she's at the table that she's actually chosen two of the ladies at the table, which is Miss Elena and Miss Rowe. And she says she chose Miss Elena because Miss Elena is a hard-working makeup artist, baby, and you can see because she be beat, okay? And she also wants to give it to Miss Rowe, because she says Miss Rowe is such a hard worker. She wants more out of life. She's just very dedicated, like she's a boss, she's a leader. And she says, she doesn't feel like our girl gets her flowers, so she gonna give our girl her flowers. And as she shares that, everybody is very happy for both of the ladies. Everyone's clapping, it's all smiles and joy. But then after that, we get into the tea about what happened at Ladies Night and with Miss Shaniqua. And before the conversation could even really get going, our girl Miss Chloe went on and said, look, I'm gonna tell y'all, because I was not expecting Shaniqua to act like that. I thought she was gonna be cool, because you was like, when me and her hung out, she was cool, it was vibe, it was fun. She was like, I was not expecting all that. And then our girl Miss Latoya said, so ladies, I'm gonna just tell y'all what happened. So she came and she's been saying she knows me, and I was like, yeah, okay, we may do know each other, but from the past, not now. And she says, I kept telling her I did not denounce her. She said I acknowledged it. But the next thing you know, she comes up out of her purse with a stack of folded emails showing us that, we and her have communicated. And she says, Ro stepped in and stepped up, and she was like, this is weird. What you doing is weird. All this is just, what is you doing all this for? And then she says, while they were going back and forth, Shaniqua called Miss Ro the B word. And Miss Toy said, that's when I had to get my purse and I had to get up and I had to leave. She's like, because I don't do that. This not what I do. And she's like, I just didn't like this situation. And Miss Elena expresses, when Miss Shaniqua came into the room, there was a heaviness and you could just feel the energy. And as all of the ladies are in communication, Miss Rowe opens up and she expresses and says, that she don't like for people to see her in that way, because she says she's not that person anymore. And also it's just, it made her think back to like how she used to be. She said, she is an East Coast girly. They don't get down like that out there. So this for her was, it was a moment. She said, but she ain't put her hands on me, Shaniqua. And the ladies give her big ups and tell her they're proud of her, and she did a really good job. And then y'all, our girl Miss Latoya sadly has to exit from with being with the ladies, because she is going with her sister and her cousin to celebrate her father's passing. And y'all, we're just gonna send our love to Miss Latoya and, wrap our arms around her in spirit. And we're gonna move from this scene to our next scene. So yes, y'all. As we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Miss Elena, and baby, she is in her beautiful home, and she's spending some time with her kids. We're seeing her be a mom and just at her natural environment. And baby, she's talking to the kids. And while she's talking to them, we get a knock at the door. And come to find out, it is Miss Elena's mother. And they do not call her grandma. They call her Mimi, because Mimi is young, hip baby. Okay? And Elena said, don't get it twisted. But Elena's mother is very, very beautiful, I will say. And you can tell Elena gets her looks from her mom, because, baby, when I say on, I'm on. Okay. Miss Elena invites her mom in. She hugs the kids. She sends them off to go play. And, they sit down on the couch. And Mrs. Elena's mother, asks her what's been going on, how she's doing. And Miss Elena expresses and opens up, about her business and her visions in her business venture and what's the next stage. And her mom's like, well, we still gotta get to our goal. And baby, of course, they brought about Queen Bee, baby. And when I tell you, her mom was like, that's the goal. And Miss Lane was like, yeah, mom, that's the goal. We're gonna do her makeup. I did her cousin's makeup, so she, you never know, I might be able to do her makeup. And then her mom said, so what else has been going on? How are you? How's the marriage relationship? And Miss Elena shares, that sometimes talking to her mom may not see the whole picture or her side of things, and she encourages her, to stay in her marriage and stay in the relationship and work things out. She says because through, situations come change. And Ms. Line's like, well, why do I have to sit through that? And then they get into a conversation about, Ms. Delana's upbringing and about how her mom made a decision at a point in her life to leave her father and, the effects that it may have had upon the relationship. Because, after that, Ms. Alliance says her mother's always just been on her. She said that's how she even got into makeup. She's like, because girls used to come over her house and she would do their makeup, and her mom was like, wait, baby, what are you doing? You can get you some business cards. This is a business. You using your products on them. No, 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 no. So she says, it's sometimes hard for them to have conversation, and she doesn't put it, you know on her mom or nothing like that, but you know sometimes she just wants to be able to be honest and be vulnerable. And I think them having this conversation and this talk is really getting there, because she shares with her mother that sometimes her mother doesn't really want to sit down and talk, and her mother's like, I do want to sit down and talk. What makes you think I don't want to sit down and talk? And Miss Elena was like, well, mommy, make time for what you make time for and who you make time for. And the ladies, and on a positive note, and with a hug and mother daughter, and it's just great to see, and I'm thankful to see this. But yeah, as we go from that scene to our next scene. Okay, so yes, y'all, as we get into our next scene, baby, it is the day of the event that Miss Latoya is hosting for Women Making History. And let's just say the event is like, yeah, baby, the spot is the tea. The ladies in there, everybody is dressed from head to toe. We got photographers, we got the bar, we have set up, baby. It's just giving vibes. And of course, our ladies are arriving one by one, and the ladies are giving our girl, Miss Latoya, her light and her love, because guess what? Our girl got on her green and her red, baby. She's giving very sexy, very, I'm just having fun. We having good times. What's going on? And all the ladies come in, they take a seat, and of course, our girl, Miss Latoya, she doing her big one, she doing her boss, so she gets the event started off, and she lets everyone know in the room that while she was planning this event, that they wanted to give awards to the ladies making history and that are trailblazers within the city of Houston and just doing phenomenal work. And baby, the first night she called was our girl, Miss Rose. Miss Rose was looking like, wait, girl, wait, I just said that, wait, girl, you just thought. And Miss Rose gets up and she comes up and Miss Latoya gives her, her award and her flowers. And our girl Miss Rose says she really appreciates it because, for Miss Latoya to shine light on her hard work and everything she does, it just brings, you know, a a calm, just a joy. And then after that, she calls our girl Miss Elena. Miss Elena had got up and she was like, girl, don't you sit down, Miss Elena, because our next award goes to you for being a phenomenal makeup artist, a celebrity makeup artist, working with people such as Eve, Latoya Luckett, and our girl Miss Elena actually has an event coming up this September on Instagram. I saw it, so I'm going to post it in the video. So you guys, if you're in Houston, please go and let Miss Elena know. Your girl Pretty Sexy Charlotte Brand sent you her way. But yes, baby, but while the event is happening, we see other ladies in the room getting their acknowledgments, getting their flowers, getting their awards, and just seeing the room with just so many movers and shakers. And then as we get to the end of the event, Our girl Miss Latory, tells everyone she thanks them all for coming out. She thanks for like celebrating all together. And she's like, now ladies, we are finna eat, drink, have us music, have us some good time. And we in and we go over to the other table where the ladies are all sitting up in the group, and Miss Latoya comes over and joins. They ask her, has she eaten? And she's like, girl, I be in the zone, I be working. And then Miss Chloe decides she wants to open up to the ladies. It's like, so y'all, I feel real bad about, the Shaniqua situation. And I feel like, she owes everyone that was at the table an apology for what she did and what happened. And baby, the eyes, the team in wigs, it was just and Miss Chloe asked Miss Latoya would she come, and Miss Latoya said, "Baby, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't really want to be around anyone if they feel they have to prove their heart that they know me." And of course, she asks our girl Ro, is she going to attend? Ro is just like, and I'm just like, girl, I understand. Like, girl, once you disrespect me, I don't know. But I do think that it's very important that Miss Chloe is trying to fix the situation and get to the bottom of it. And so everyone is asking Miss Rose, she gonna go? And next thing you know, our girl Miss Labrina make a joke with Miss Page. They start to kiki, and then our girl Lana gets up and she got her glass in her hand. She's like, "We not letting nobody take our power." We, I was like, "Yes, ma'am. It's time." And she's like, "Cheers, y'all." And as we go from that scene to our next scene. So yes, y'all. As we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Miss Labrina and Chloe. And baby, Miss Chloe then pull up at Miss Labrina's house, and Miss Labrina's outside pushing her baby. And baby, Miss Chloe said, "I love this for you, girl. Soft girl life. I love this for you." Okay, baby, because I surely won't. Okay, I surely, in my mind, I'm already envisioning soft girl life. Period. For myself, in my own manifestation. But our girl, Miss Chloe, comes up. They give each other hugs. She helps. She starts pushing Miss Labrina's baby on the swing. She said, "Manifest, okay." And then after that, the ladies move into the house and they sit down. And of course, our girl, Miss Labrina, cracks open a bottle of wine, and her and Chloe sit down at the table, and they had this one-on-one. And Miss Chloe shares with us that the reason why she wants to have this one-on-one is because of their group therapy session, how Miss Labrina expressed herself in her younger years. She says she felt like, Miss Labrina is her person because she right now is in a stage, and so like, they're having this conversation, and Miss Labrina is sharing, her situation or setup or dynamic or her structure with her son. And Miss Chloe gives our girl her props, and she says, she feels like she is not as structured as she should be. And she says she feels like she's missed out on a lot of time. And she's like, she just feels like she just, when her son got big, she just kind of let go and didn't worry about him. And as they're having this conversation, Miss Labrina is really helping Miss Chloe and giving her like good advice and key points, and telling her, was suggesting to her, not even telling her. She's like, "You put your eggs in that one basket. You care about your kids. Focus on your kids. Bump with that man this time out. Matter of fact, take a break from that man." So yes, y'all. As we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Miss Chloe, and she is having some mother and son time one-on-one with her oldest. And they're gonna have their conversation, she said, because after her talk with Miss Labrina, she just feels like this is something that needs to happen between her and her son, and she needs to let him know that he is important, and that no one comes before him or his sisters. And so, they sitting at the bar, and of course, our girl Miss Chloe's like, "You want something to drink? What you want? What you want to drink? You want alcohol? What you want?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm straight." And you know, our girl Miss Chloe just opens up with her son, and she be real with him, and she's being real with him, and she lets him know that, you know, she, at one point in time, she was not thinking about him after the twins' father had passed, and she was in survival mode, and she was just trying to get through day by day and process. And she didn't try to turn him into a caretaker at the age of 24. And, you know, she wants him to know that she really cares about him and their relationship. And, you know, she's sorry for whatever she did not give to him when he needed it, or what was happening to make him feel the way, or for making him feel that way. And he honestly opens up and says to her, "Mom, you didn't make me feel any kind of way." He's like, you know, when I was going through what I was going through in my situation, having my little sisters to see back and take care of, was what kept me going and what motivated me. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. I really love this conversation because I feel like a lot of parents can learn from Miss Chloe in this situation and could note and do these same steps. Like, have a real one-on-one conversation with your child. Let your child know that, hey, but anyway, y'all, as they're having this conversation, she then asks him, about his music career, what is his plans, and what is his plan B if it does not work out. And let me say something. He heard him say, no, mom, it's gonna work out. He's like, get in the booth, need to make some more music, and need to do videos. And she said, baby, I just want you to know, no relationship is more important than you and your sister in my eyes. And whatever you want to do, I'm going to support you, but I want to see your plan. So y'all, as we go from that scene to our next scene. So yes, y'all, as we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Miss Chloe, and she said, today's the day, the lady's gonna have the conversation. She said she's a lady of class, and she said she did not like Miss Shaniqua's behavior, so we are finna get this sit down and meet up with Miss Rowe and Miss Shaniqua and Miss Chloe. And baby, think this is going to be very interesting. But as our girl Miss Chloe is walking up, she sees Miss Shaniqua. They have on matching pants and they give each other a hug. And baby, let's just say the girls is getting down to the giggles. But we finna see where this thing is gonna go because our girl Miss Rowe has not arrived yet. So, of course, Miss Chloe asks Miss Shaniqua, like, girl, what happened? Like, the last time we was around each other, what made things just go left? And Miss Shaniqua opens up and expresses, she said, I came in and she's like, I was trying to get things fixed with Latoya. She said, but I think things went left is like when Ro jumped in and she's like her energy was off and it was not very welcoming. And Miss Chloe very quickly said, well, that's Ro's energy all the time. Like Ro's just that type of person. She come in the room, she not really focused on everybody in the room. She got her mind like somewhere else. And while they're having that conversation, who comes up? Our girl Ro. And baby, you can just tell Rose just like, girl, I really am not here for this. But okay, we gonna do this. We gonna hear what she got to say. This is just her demeanor. This was given to me from watching. And baby, she comes up and she speaks to the ladies, and then our girl sits down and let's just say our girl Miss Chloe starts to try to mediate this situation, and she asks, Miss Shaniqua, what you think it went wrong between you and Miss Rowe? And Miss Shaniqua says, well, I just think when I came in and I was presenting my paperwork and just showing my proof, she said, because I did not have a problem with Ro. She said, I don't even know Ro like that. She said, my problem with Latoya. She said, but I think where the issue came in is when Ro called me weird and said I'm always popping up. She was like, then that's when it came in. And Ro was like, okay. And she said, then when I said the B word, and Ro was like, girl, how you gonna sit up here and we having this conversation and you still trying to stand on 10 about what you did wrong? And baby, I'm just looking like, So, the ladies sit down, like I said, and they just get into the conversation. And Miss Rowe opens up and she's expressing to Miss Shaniqua that, just that situation, her energy that she brought, it just didn't feel warranted. She said she didn't like it because she's like, baby, it was giving bully energy. And she's like, baby, I bully the bullies. She's like, then my daughter been bullied in school. She's like, it's just a lot of stuff. It's just like wild, weird stuff. She's like, people be around you. You think they care about you, don't care nothing about you. You didn't put in all this hard work. And honestly, she's speaking from a real point of view. And so Miss Chloe asks, Rose, the issue is that you don't trust her. And she said, yeah, because I feel like in the moment she gonna snap because somebody gonna trigger something gonna happen. And Miss Shaniqua is very honest and open with the ladies, and she says, she understands where Rose is coming from because she says she's been bullied, because she's smaller size, smaller frame, olive oil. And she says, she understands where Rose is coming from and her feelings are valid. She just says, maybe my triggers is that, when I'm snubbed and I don't not like, things just happen. And, Miss Shaniqua asks Miss Rose, like, where do they go from this point? And Miss Rose says, honestly, I don't know. And I think, y'all, it ended on a peaceful note. The ladies get up, they walk away, and then, baby, that's how we close out of Heart and Hustle Houston episode 5. No new friends. Y'all, it's been your girl, Pretty Sexy Jar Rant, aka Silent Assassin. Assassins, thank y'all for being my silent but deadly ninjas. Until next time, we out.